Money, consumption, status, and power have long driven our culture's pulse. They've shaped our motivations, our behaviors, and our beliefs. But what happens when we give art the same influence? Writers, designers, musicians, photographers, videographers, and the world's most creative minds have the power to heal us, challenge us, and guide us back home to ourselves. In their hands and through their crafts, we find a new world, one where art is a catalyst for powerful change, where self-expression, human connection, and deep empathy are the world's richest assets. This is Art is the New Wall Street, with your host, Morgan Short.
Hi, artists and creatives. Welcome back to Art is the New Wall Street. It's March 2025, and a lot has happened since we wrapped up season 1. Whew, deep breath. No matter where your political views fall, we're living through an extraordinary moment. Laws are being tested, our democracy is being tested, and you can feel big change coming. But you know what I believe? I believe that when things get really bad, the art gets really good. Revolution doesn't always happen on the front lines. We also need healers and dreamers and artists. Artists have the power to shape, save, and heal our world. And that's not hyperbole. That's the truth. We've seen it time and time again. Think about Nina Simone, an American singer, songwriter, and civil rights activist. Or Keith Haring, whose art brought visibility to the AIDS crisis in the 1980s. Or Ai Weiwei, the Chinese contemporary artist and activist. More recently, I think of Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance. It's living rent-free in my head. Artists are going to shape and save our world, and I'm so excited to be back for season 2. Before we get into it, where have I been? Last year, I dove headfirst into this podcast, and I originally set out to publish an episode every other Monday, but I quickly realized that with a full-time job, trying to build a side hustle, joining a mastermind, taking multiple online courses, running a ton of other projects like St. Paul Wance or practicing my own art of poetry, and all while doing all the other things required of being an adult, I really overestimated how much I could take on. And life happens, doesn't it? We think we can do it all, be it all, and have it all, and then reality slaps us in the face. For me, my reality check came in November of 2024 with a health scare that really put everything into perspective. Honestly, something had to give, and when I didn't let my body rest, it decided to shut down so I would listen to it. I've been focusing on my health, and I am excited to be back. I'm putting far less pressure on myself this season. I really believe in it, and I'm excited to give you some more episodes this year. Season 1, let's summarize it. It was a ride. First ever podcaster here, and we published 13 episodes. I've reached over 1,000 listening ears, so grateful to everyone who has tuned in. We spoke with musicians like Graham Bramblett, Sarah Morris, Illism, and Daniel the violinist, visual artists like Leanna Werzer, Mary Castillo, and Dave Razor, business owners and founders like Christiana Trapani and Gabrielle Luloff, writers and performers like Noah Likas and Devin Brazil, and healers like Chelsea Kazmierczyk. Gaithel. In season 1, we explored questions like, how do you overcome creative blocks? How do you balance the creative and business sides of your work? What role does AI play in the future of creativity? How do you create art that resonates emotionally? And how can art be a vehicle for representation and social change? We also explored the courage it takes to leave your 9-to-5 to pursue your passions. We questioned capitalism's grip on creativity and examined the increasingly blurry line between art and content. And I think altogether, we really learned how art can heal both the creator and the audience. For those of you who are checking out the show for the first time, you might be wondering what Art is the New Wall Street is all about. If you're anything like me, you bought into hustle culture for so long. For years, you believed success meant climb the corporate ladder, work harder than everyone else, monetize every hobby. I call this the Wall Street mentality. It's a competition-fueled marathon that really never ends. Maybe you measured your worth by your productivity. Maybe you sacrifice time in the sun for more screen time just to send a few more emails. Your worth is not measured by how productive you are, but that is so deeply ingrained in me. And here's the thing about my generation. We were promised one reality and handed another. Hear me out. We were born hearing things like, you can be anything. Then by elementary school, we were practicing duck and cover drills. Before college, we were told, take out those loans because future you will thank you. You'll get a good job and you'll have the American dream. And then we graduated into a crashed economy. And those loans started weighing down on us. And then throughout our early careers, we were asked things like, why aren't you buying houses? In 2020, we collectively experienced the essential worker or Zoom prisoner pandemic time. By 2023, we started getting warnings that robots were coming for our jobs. And now in 2025, we're told things like, have you tried meditation for your anxiety? Just turn off the news, which is unbelievable. My own student debt, I'll touch on that for a second. It really is a cosmic joke. I borrowed $85,000 and have already paid $109,406 over the last 10 years. And somehow I still owe $59,000 on the principal. I have a $690 minimum monthly payment, and I've never missed a payment. So it's a burden. It's a burden for anyone who has them. And I'm not asking for handouts, and I know my privilege. I know that, they're mine to pay back. I'm just saying it is a burden for so many people. And then AI, of course, it's transforming everything we knew about work, creativity, and human experience too, human value even. But honestly, make no mistake, the jobs we fought hard to get, so many in the tech space especially, will become automated. Our world will absolutely not be the same 5 years from now, not even 3 years from now. And yet again, we're adapting. We were promised that education was the great equalizer, that hard work would lead to home ownership, that democracy would ensure that our voices mattered. And instead, we're debt-ridden, we're barely making rent, and we're watching our democracy being threatened by billionaires who are very sure their voices matter more than ours. The back in my day stories are from a society that no longer exists, a society that most of us were promised but never benefited from. And we're not lazy. We may be tired. We're tired of pivoting. We're tired of adapting. We're tired of being promised one thing and having something else. We're also tired of being told that our very real concerns about the world are just anxiety that needs managing. Look, our democracy, education systems, economic systems, social norms, and financial systems are being tested and in many cases unraveling. So what's the alternative to the Wall Street mentality, as I call it? What's the answer to these massive systemic challenges? I believe truly that it is in art and creativity. Art is power, art is transformation. Art has the potential to fill spaces that power and greed once occupied. Artists are the healers that will carry us forward through this new era. They will use their visions to tackle big issues, things like climate change, social justice, and mental health. And they will make these issues accessible to a wider audience through their art. So for those of you who have dealt with the Wall Street mentality, here are a few reminders that aren't hustle harder. You are inherently worthy of love and respect, regardless of your achievements. Your body, mind, and spirit deserve to rest and play. Discover what lights you up and give yourself permission to pursue it. Ignore the pressure to monetize every little thing you do. Keep some things just for you. Do them simply because they bring you joy. Do them because they remind you that you're a human being, not a human doing. All right. What's in store for season 2? This season, I want to focus on transformation stories. So artists who had these big life moments or transitions where they lived their life with one definition of success as their North Star and changed that. For example, my first guest will be Katherine Pomfret, who left her high-paying director of marketing job for van life, for different streams of income, and has since started the Society of Alternative Entrepreneurs. And I just cannot wait to share her story with you all. Stories like this are what I want to spotlight in season 2. People who have maybe left corporate environments to pursue something different, or just, some sort of job to full-time bet on themselves, and their art and creativity. I'll, of course, continue bringing on a variety of artists. It won't only be stories of these big transformations. I'll continue to reach out to any kind of artist that wants to come on and talk about how they show up in the world as artists, or discuss their creative processes, or how they make money, whatever. So yeah, I'm really excited about what season 2 has in store. And just a note, you're going to get a little bit of a different version of me this season because I'm giving myself a lot of grace, and I hope you'll be patient with me too. I'm aiming to release 1 episode per month, but if I miss a month, it is what it is because life happens. I'm being really, really gentle with myself this season, and I want to tell stories that matter of artists that matter. I'd love to give you more, but this is what's manageable right now as I prioritize sustainability over burnout. I really don't want this podcast to just become another item on my to-do list or another source of pressure. So I'm just being gentle and flowing and going slowly. I want it to be a genuine platform for artists to come on and talk, maybe have a little therapy session with me and discuss how we get unstuck from our creative blocks. Plus all the systemic stuff I was talking about before. And here's what I'll leave you with is when our democratic institutions are being dismantled, when our federal funding for those in need is being slashed, when diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are being reversed, art is an act of resistance. Creating becomes political. Beauty becomes revolutionary. Artists can help us imagine what comes next in our world. They can show us possibilities beyond what we've been told is realistic or practical. Artists remind us that another world is possible. And that's why I believe art is the new Wall Street, not because artists will suddenly become billionaires, but because the true currency of the future is creativity, connection, and courage. And artists have all of those traits in abundance. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Whether you're commuting or going for a walk or multitasking while you're listening, I am so grateful you chose to make me part of your day. So much more to come. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Art is the New Wall Street. If you liked what you heard today, give our show a follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find us on social media or at artistthenewwallstreet.com. Keep creating, and we'll see you next time.